Okay, this is a demo video for the Rialto project. What I'm going to show you here is the development version of the website with some of the analytics reports that we're working on and with the ability to browse information that we've harvested. So just a quick review, what we're doing here is we're harvesting information about the organizational units at Stanford, like departments, schools, and institutes, researchers at Stanford and which departments and schools they're affiliated with. We're also harvesting grant data from Sarah, and we're harvesting publication data from the Web of Science, and we're linking these things together. So I guess I'll start with the browse, since that makes it more clear the type of data that we're harvesting. And what you can see here is just kind of looks like a traditional search results view. Um, the different types of information, the sort of some what we call facets, so basically ways of filtering this data. So for example, I could pick people, and it would show me researchers, and then I could further limit to, for example, people in the School of Engineering, and I would have those people here. And you can do the same thing with publications or grants. So this is just a quick way of getting at data that is in the system that we've harvested. Hey, here's another example of publications that have been harvested. And we have, for example, concepts or topics that have been pulled from Web of Science, so we can discover all the papers that the Web of Science feels are related to oncology here, for example. Another thing we're doing is connecting the authors to the publications. So you can see here, this is a publication. Here are all the authors. And if you click on one of these authors, you'll go directly to the information for this author. So this is just a way of kind of browsing the information that we have available. And we have a search bar, which allows you to search for people's names or titles of papers, for example. So here's all the pieces of information that have Peter in the title. You might note that this is a mixture of both people and organizations. Okay, let's go over to the analytics section, which is sort of the main thrust of our efforts here with Rialto. And so we have a few different kind of top level reports that we've been working on. We have many, many more use cases, but we had to start somewhere. So here's where we focused our efforts. We have discovering Stanford collaborations, and we're going to keep working on this UI, but let's just look at the data that we might get out. Here's an example of, let's say we want to figure out which countries a particular school has collaborated with the most. So I can pick a school over here, for example, like the Graduate School of Business. And what this is going to show is a heat map of the world with the number of collaborations on papers written by people in that school. So what we've done here is aggregated over all the papers that are associated with Stanford researchers in that school. We've looked at all the co-authors, and we've enumerated which countries those co-authors are from, and we've produced a table here. Now, so we're still pulling in data, so let's try School of Engineering. Okay, so according to this report, we have, other than the United States, which is enumerating other institutions in the US, we have a lot of collaborations in Europe, looks like, which I guess should not be a surprise. We can also cut this data by institution, so we can see the most common institutions that Stanford people collaborate with. Again, broken down by school, and you could also do this by specific department if you wanted to get more granular. This report over here is intended to show the different topic areas that have been published in over a range of years for the given school or department. So this would intend to show basically the areas of research that are being engaged in by school or department. So again, let's say I go back to the School of Engineering. I would expect to see topics that are related to engineering, and I could see throughput over the years. We still have to do some understanding of why these numbers seem low to me. And so we're trying to understand what the underlying data holds, because again, this system is entirely based on information received from our sources. So we expect that if for example, the Web of Science is not providing us with topic information for all the papers, that these would be really undercounting the publications in those areas, which it certainly looks like it is right now. Okay, and let's just look at one more real quick that we're working on. Um, in this area, in this report, you would sort of have a kind of different, almost an inverse facet of what we just looked at. So here we start with a concept, and then what we're doing is we're looking at the cross-disciplinary institutes that exist at Stanford and trying to figure out how many papers have been published in that topic. So the idea here is that if you are interested in sort of the throughput, for example, in computer science, um, and you wanted to look at how the creation of a cross-disciplinary institute affected or didn't affect that area of research, this report would would allow you to see that by providing you a range of years, the institutes that have published in those areas based on co-op, based on author affiliation. And again, this data is dependent on what comes out of the Web of Science. So these numbers obviously seem quite low, and we need to look into that. So this is just a quick overview of where we are. We have all this data now harvested in a linked data store. We're indexing it into derivative data stores, in other words, Solr and Postgres that we can drive a website off of, and we have this development version of the Rialto website that we're working on refining and understanding better. So we hope this video was helpful to gauge progress in the Rialto project. Thanks.